On Monday morning, a single phrase leaked to the Financial Times changed everything. It wasn't a threat, it was a promise. An anonymous insider close to the Qatar government called it a cascade of economic harm. In plain English, they just pulled the plug on the global economy. Qatar didn't just turn off the gas because of a drone strike. They did it to hold the world hostage, and this decision has triggered a crisis that makes the 1973 oil shock look like a minor inconvenience. Let's look at that phrase again. A cascade. That is a specific engineering term. It describes a failure that doesn't just happen once, it travels. One thing breaks, which causes the next thing to break, and then the next, and the next. It's like a row of dominoes. Once you push the first one, you cannot stop the rest from falling. No single intervention can save the system. Qatar knew exactly what domino they were pushing. When they shut down LNG production, they knew precisely what the cascade would look like. They knew European gas prices would explode by 54% before people even finished their morning coffee. They knew Asian benchmarks would jump 39% by the afternoon. They knew that somewhere in Germany, a factory manager was getting an emergency alert right now. They knew a French power station and a South Korean steel mill would be scrambling, trying to figure out how to keep the lights on. They knew all of this, and they shut it down anyway. We are talking about the Ras Laffan plant. This isn't just some random facility. This is the single largest export facility on Earth. It covers 1/5 of the entire world's supply of liquefied natural gas. Taking that offline isn't an accident, it's an earthquake. Bloomberg used one word to describe the scene on Monday: unprecedented. Now, news outlets love to use big words to scare you, but this time they mean it literally. Unprecedented means this has never happened in the history of energy markets. Go back to the 1973 oil embargo. This is bigger. Look at the 2022 Russian pipeline shutdown that almost destroyed German industry. This is faster. We have never seen 20% of the global supply vanish in a single morning. But here is the secret that most financial news is missing today. They are telling you Qatar is a victim. They are saying, oh, Iranian drones attacked the area, so Qatar had to stop production for safety. That is false. This source document proves that Qatar isn't just a victim. Qatar is an active player. This shutdown, it's a weapon. Think about Qatar's position for a second. They are a tiny country. Do they have a massive air force to fight Iran? No. Do they have a stockpile of missiles big enough to scare anyone? No. They have zero military way to stop this war. They can't send jets. They can't make phone calls to Washington that actually change anything, but they have one card left to play: energy. They can make the cascade so painful, so expensive, and so unbearable for Europe, Japan, and China that those governments force the war to stop. It is the economic equivalent of a hostage situation, but the hostage isn't a person in a room. The hostage is the industrial output of the entire Western world. And the ransom demand isn't money. The demand is, make America stop. A defense analyst from King's College London put it perfectly. He said 5 words that explain the entire strategy. This is not their war. Qatar and the other Gulf states are absorbing Iranian missiles right now. Why? Because they host American bases. The same bases America used to attack Iran's leadership. Qatar didn't vote for that. But now, every hour the American operation continues is another hour of drone strikes on Qatari refineries, ports, and hotels. So, they are opting out. And that leaves Europe in a terrifying position. Every energy economist woke up Monday morning asking the same question. It's the question that keeps them up at night. If Qatar's gas is gone and Russia's pipelines are sanctioned, where does the gas come from? There is no backup plan. We are coming out of winter. Inventories are low. The tank is almost empty, and Qatar just cut the fuel line. Here's the frightening reality of the numbers. It is early March. Europe is waking up with gas storage levels below 30%. That is the danger zone. Think of these storage tanks like a savings account. You save up all year so you can spend it during the winter. But right now, the savings account is empty. The buffer that is supposed to be there, it's gone. But here's the problem. Winter is technically over, but spring hasn't truly started. It isn't warm enough to turn off the heaters. And it definitely isn't warm enough for the factories to stop running. Every steel mill, every chemical plant, every glass manufacturer in Europe is running at full speed right now. They are thirsty for energy. They are draining reserves that are already 10% lower than they were last year. And at this exact moment of weakness, Qatar pulled the plug. Take 20% of the world's supply off the table. Then look at the Strait of Hormuz. It is effectively closed. 200 ships are anchored, going nowhere. Major shipping companies like Maersk have stopped moving. Analysts have done the math on this. If this shutdown continues, the world loses 120 billion cubic meters of gas per year. Let me put that number in perspective for you. When Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022 and shut off the pipelines, Europe lost about 80 billion cubic meters. Russia cut 80. Qatar is cutting 120. This isn't just a repeat of history, this is an escalation. Think back to 2022. Do you remember the panic? Germany had to restart old, dirty coal plants just to keep the lights on. France had to slash its industrial output. Families across Europe had to choose between heating their homes and buying groceries. That was the result of losing 80 billion. Now, we are staring down the barrel of losing 120 billion. And there is a twist here that makes this situation much, much worse than 2022. In 2022, when Russia cut the cord, the rest of the world stepped up. The market was stressed, sure, but it wasn't broken. Other countries like Norway, Australia, and especially the United States rushed in to save the day. They increased production, they sent ships, they filled the gap. But today, that rescue boat isn't coming. Why? Because the United States is tapped out. The American LNG market is currently running at 100% capacity. The engines are redlining. There is no extra gas to send. A professor from Texas Christian University put it bluntly, "We are maxed out. You cannot give 110%. The U.S. is waiting on new projects to be built, but construction takes years. We don't have years, we have days. This is the irony of the war. The country that started this conflict, the United States, cannot protect its own allies from the economic fallout. The U.S. produces the most gas in the world, yet it cannot spare a single drop for Europe because its own terminals are full." So the cascade that the insider warned about, it isn't a theory. It isn't a prediction for next year. It is a math problem that is happening right now, and there is no solution. Look at the giants of the industry: Shell, ExxonMobil, Total Energies, ConocoPhillips. These are the biggest energy companies on the planet. They have billions of dollars of equipment sitting in Qatar right now, and it is all silent. Why? Because of 2 drones. The Qatari Defense Ministry confirmed it. 2 drones. One hit a water tank. One hit a facility. The physical damage was tiny. It was negligible. You don't shut down the world's biggest energy exporter because of a dented water tank. They shut it down because of the cascade. This is where it gets personal for you. You might think, I don't buy natural gas, so this doesn't affect me. You're wrong. There is a hidden chain that connects a gas molecule in Qatar to a loaf of bread in your local supermarket. Most people never see this chain until it snaps. Well, it just snapped. Here's how it works. Natural gas powers the furnaces. The furnaces make steel. The steel makes the machines. But more importantly, gas makes ammonia. Ammonia makes fertilizer. Fertilizer grows food. When gas prices jump 54% in a single morning, the price of making ammonia skyrockets instantly. 2 weeks later, fertilizer gets too expensive for farmers to buy. 2 months later, planting crops becomes too expensive. And by the time harvest comes, the price of food on your table has doubled. This is the timeline we are on. It is Tuesday, March 3rd, 2026. The chain is breaking, and the speed of this collapse is going to determine how this war ends. It matters more than how many missiles America has. It matters more than what the diplomats say, because hunger works faster than diplomacy. By the time summer arrives, the cascade won't just be a line on a graph. It will be the price tag on a loaf of bread in Berlin. It will be the cost of pasta in Rome. It will be the price of cooking oil in Warsaw. This is how the dominoes fall. A drone hits a water tank in Qatar. Gas prices go up. Fertilizer gets expensive. And suddenly, you are paying double at the grocery store. But it isn't just food. It's the 3 bills that every family dreads: gas, heating, electricity. According to researchers at Columbia University, these 3 costs are about to explode simultaneously. And this doesn't just hit the rich people with solar panels on their roofs. This hits everyone, every apartment, every city, every family that relies on gas to stay warm or keep the lights on. They are going to see a massive spike in their monthly expenses, and they will know exactly who to blame. They will look at the news, see the smoke rising from Qatar, and realize that a decision made in a boardroom thousands of miles away is emptying their bank account. Now imagine being a European politician right now. You are sitting in London, Paris, or Berlin. You are watching the energy markets panic. You see the red lines going up 54% in a single morning. You know what comes next. Your voters are going to get angry. These leaders in Britain, France, Germany are already nervous. They are scrambling. They are issuing statements calling for restraint. They are saying they don't support regime change. Why are they suddenly so cautious? Because they know their people can't afford this war. They know that if gas prices stay this high, they will lose the next election. They are facing pressure from trade unions, factory owners, and angry citizens who are about to suffer a personal financial injury. And in the middle of this chaos, one man sees a golden opportunity: Vladimir Putin. On Monday, the phone rang in Qatar. It wasn't the United Nations. It wasn't the White House. It was the Kremlin. Putin called the Emir of Qatar directly, one-on-one. They talked about the conflict. They expressed concern. But then Putin said something very interesting. He said he hopes for a rapid de-escalation. Now, you have to read between the lines here. When Putin says rapid de-escalation, he isn't talking about peace and love. He is talking about business. Here's the trap he is setting. Europe needs gas. Qatar's gas is turned off. America's gas is maxed out. So where is the only place left to get gas? Russia. Putin is offering a deal. If Europe wants the pain to stop, they have to come back to him. They have to call Moscow. They have to buy Russian gas again. If that happens, the United States loses everything. All the leverage America built up over the last 3 years vanishes in a single week. Europe becomes dependent on Russia again, and Russia emerges from this war, a war it didn't even start, as the winner. It is a brilliant, terrifying move. But for Qatar, this isn't a game. It is a tragedy. Think about what Qatar was a week ago. They were the rich, stable kid on the block. They had the third largest gas reserves in the world. They used that money to build skyscrapers, airports, and World Cup stadiums. They were a global business hub. Executives were moving their headquarters to Doha. Tourists were flying in. Today, the reputation is up in smoke. The tourists are gone. Property prices are crashing. The gas revenue, the lifeblood of the country, has stopped. And the irony is heartbreaking. Qatar spent billions of dollars to build the Al Udeid Air Base. They let the United States military use it. They maintained it. They took a huge political risk by hosting it. And what did they get in return? America used that base to launch the attacks on Iran. And now Iran is destroying Qatar because of it. The base that was supposed to protect them is the reason they are burning. This brings us to the legitimacy cascade. It's a fancy term, but it asks a simple question. A question that is being asked in every palace and every coffee shop in the Gulf right now. In Bahrain, where hospitals are full. In Saudi Arabia, where oil ports are halted. In the UAE, where data centers are offline. The question is, was it worth it? Was hosting the American base worth this destruction? Was being America's ally worth losing your economy? The answer is becoming very clear. You need to understand the scale of what just happened. Qatar didn't just turn a valve. They weaponized the global economy. They took 20% of the world's LNG offline to force Europe to stop the US. European gas is up 54%. There is no backup supply coming from America. The loss is bigger than the Russian cuts of 2022. This is the most dangerous moment in modern energy history. And the scary part, we haven't even seen the worst of it yet. Share this video with everyone you know. The media isn't connecting these dots. They aren't telling you about the cascade. But you need to know because the bill is coming due and we are all going to pay it. Putin picked up the phone. He didn't call a secretary. He called the Emir of Qatar personally. That signal is louder than any bomb. It means the old alliances are dead. The cascade isn't a theory anymore. It has already started. The price of gas is moving. The cost of electricity is moving. The price of fertilizer is moving. And the price of food is next. The clock is ticking and the alarm just went off. But there is a second crisis happening right now. A crisis that is even more dangerous than the gas shortage. While Qatar turns off the valves, the United States Navy is facing a mathematical impossibility in the Red Sea. We are firing multi-million-dollar missiles at cheap drones, and we are running out of ammo. The Pentagon just admitted a terrifying statistic about our stockpile that explains why we cannot stop the next wave of attacks. Click this video right here to see the breakdown of the interceptor crisis. It is the only thing that matters now.